Well, I've done it. I have found the best cold weather fishing gloves. Maybe. Hey, what's going on, and welcome to a very special edition of Colby Yak Fishing. Today, we are going to be discussing something that anglers have a huge problem with this time of year, and that is keeping your hands warm. If you have ever been fishing in cold weather, you definitely know what I'm talking about. Nothing can cut a fishing trip short like some frozen fingertips. And it makes it near impossible to do some of those fine motor skills like tying knots, changing out lures, threading line, etc., etc., etc. And sometimes your hands just get so cold that it even becomes painful to fish. Now, over the years, I've tried many different types of gloves. I've tried ski gloves and waterproof gloves and fleece gloves, wool gloves, and even like surgical rubber gloves, and none of them have seemed to get the job done. And I've been looking for a glove for a long time, and I think I might have found it. So the fine folks over at RUNCL have reached out and sent me a pair of their brand new cold weather fishing gloves called the JayClaw. And on first glance, man, these things look pretty sick. Now, these gloves come jam-packed with all kinds of features that we're gonna go over in a sec, but I'm gonna also take these out fishing because that's the ultimate goal. We want to have some gloves that we can fish with and keep our hands warm. Now, before we get into these gloves, I just want to send a huge thank you to RUNCL for sponsoring this video and sending us these gloves. They've also hooked you up with a discount code to their website, so I'll leave the website link and the code in the description so that way you can go and check out all their sweet goodies that they have to offer there. All right, so let's talk about these gloves. If you were to go and buy these gloves from the RUNCL website, they would cost you $37.99. Now, that is a great deal for some gloves, especially of the quality of these. And if you use that discount below, you'll actually save yourself some money. So some of the specs and descriptions that the retailer offers is that these are going to be repellent of water and snow, and they're going to keep your hands warm, like I said, because they're going to have a layer of 3M Thinsulate. And I think I'm saying that right, but essentially what it is this layer that's found on the inside of the gloves that's going to act as a thermal barrier. It's going to keep your hands warm. So on the inside, like we said, it's got this Arctic wool that is very, very soft. I would make a blanket out of this and just like live in it. And it is one of those convertible mitten to fingerless gloves. And so you can wear it in mitten form, where you pull the thumb and the mitten over to protect your fingers, or you can wear it in the fingerless glove form as well. When you go to take off the glove, it's real simple. There's these two little finger loops right here, and you just pull on those and it comes off very easily. But I think one of the biggest features that this glove has to offer is with the finger and mitten contraption. Instead of having a button or Velcro, watch this, magnets. Freaking genius, magnets. And also it does the same thing for the thumb sleeve. These gloves are also gonna have an anti-slip grip. Oh, listen to that. So if you're paddling or you're casting, you're gonna really be able to just hold on to whatever you have because of the grip. And right on the grip, check that out, it says JayClaw on it, which is pretty freaking sweet. Something else I really like about these gloves is that when you go to tighten them on the wrist, it is a one-hand tighten. You don't have to have two hands. All you do is you pull this strap and boom, they're immediately tightened. And if you want to loosen them, you just pull the little toggle that's on here and it loosens them up very easily with just one hand. They also have the anti-losing little buckles. So on each of the gloves, there's a little buckle and you can connect them together like that. So that way you can always keep them together. And there are some finer little details like around the rim of the gloves, there's a little bit of reflective fabric I kind of like that because in the dark you can kind of see where your fingers are. And also this little reflective rim is a piece of fabric that kind of holds the other fabric together to add a little bit of dexterity and also protection to prevent it from fraying or anything like that. All right, so I think that's enough talk about the gloves. It's time to take these things out to the water, test them out, and see what they're all about. All right, so we're here at a little neighborhood pond. Not quite as cold as I was hoping it would be to give these gloves a good test, but it's about mid-40s right now. My hands are starting to get a little frigid, so we're gonna throw these bad boys on. I've got a bait casting setup that we're gonna test out, and also a spinning finesse setup. We're gonna see how well the gloves perform holding, casting, and also tying some of this stuff on and just doing normal fishing activities. All right, without further ado, let's put on these gloves and see if we can catch a fish. All right, that's a good fit, real comfortable. All right, so now I'm gonna tie on this little jerk bait we have here. This is a 15-pound fluorocarbon line that I'm using. I'm just gonna tie a little fisherman's knot, and I'm kind of weird when I do mine. I like to sling them around like this, about 6 or 7 times. Moisten, feed through, then go back. And I'm just trying to do this the way that I would normally do it if I weren't wearing gloves. And that's pretty nice. It hit my fingers and my hands a couple times, and it didn't catch on the gloves, which is a good thing. Now I'll just cinch down the knot, give it a little slurver, clip the tag end. And I would say that knot, I mean, that was pretty good application. Let's go out here and cast a little bit, see if we can catch a fish. All right, so a jerkbait is one of the more common lures to use during the winter time. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to emulate like what you would actually be throwing using these gloves to see if they're, you know, worth doing something like this. So I got the fingers fully open here because I like to feel my line when I throw it. I'll try it a couple times with the thumb closed, but just for these first few casts, just kind of want to see, you know, what it feels like. But so far, I mean, these gloves feel pretty comfortable, nice and warm. My fingertips are just a smidge, just a touch cold because I'm a wuss, but also because they are exposed to the air. But all in all, man, I mean, they're not very bulky considering, and it's not really inhibiting my ability to cast this and reel this jerkbait in, which is awesome. Oh, I got a fish. Just a little fella. Look at that guy. All right, handling. Good. Ooh, he's cold. Just a little T90 whiny guy. All right, get a little release on him. Shoo! There's one. That was a little nicer. Yeah, that was a little nicer. He just came up and flump. All right, that was pretty easy getting that one out of his mouth, wasn't it? I'd say so. There you go, buddy. All right, so we caught a couple of fish using the jerk bait there, and you know, with the bait caster, it worked out pretty well. These gloves are living up to all the hype. Now I'm going to tie on something on the finesse rig that I've brought and see if we can muster up a couple more fish using the RUNCL JayClaws. All right, so now we're going to use this finesse presentation. I have a beetle spin tied on, but I think I'm going to put a Ned rig style jig head and then use a small little finesse worm and throw it around and see if we can get something on it. All right, so tying that on, and maneuverability was not very difficult at all. It's actually pretty easy. Let's see how it casts. Little finesse presentation here. I don't feel very restricted with my finger movement. These gloves are pretty comfortable. All right, let's get out there a little bit deeper and let it sit for a second and see if one will bite. Something's got it. Yeah. All right, a little finesse bass. There we go. Thumbed him with the thumb cover. My thumb was getting a little chilly. There's another little tiny guy, but still, a fish is a fish. There you go. All right, so we caught 3 fish, which is awesome. The gloves performed well in the field. And unfortunately, it's time to get back in the studio / garage to give some final thoughts about how well these gloves performed and also what I think about them. All right, so now we're back from the water, and you saw that we caught a few fish, which is great, especially for the cold months, because sometimes it's a little tough to catch fish. But we did have one issue, and I don't know if you saw it, but I'm gonna put it right here up on the screen and see if you can check it out again. Did you catch it? Did you see what's going on? Yeah, so I don't know if that's something that I did, but on the right-hand thumb, the stitching has started to come undone. And that's kind of a big deal, because when you're going to reel or you're putting this one back on, look at that, it doesn't close all the way. And that's kind of a thumbs down. So speaking of negatives, let's go ahead and get into the pros and cons about these gloves to see if they're gonna be something that you're interested in getting. And hey, if you've made it this far, why not go ahead and just hit that like button so that way this video can reach more people. I'd really appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about the positive first, the pros. These things are comfortable. They're like really, really, really comfortable. When you put them on for the first time and you feel that Arctic wool on the inside, man, they just feel so good. Also, with the Arctic wool on the inside, it is a type of wool, so if you do get any moisture, it's just gonna wick it right away. Obviously, the conversion from the finger to the mitten is also a pro. Another thing I like about the little flap over the fingers is you could hide a little hot hands, one of those little hand warmer things inside here, so that way when you flip it over, you can have it sitting right on the back of your hands, just keeping your fingers just nice and toasty. Another pro is obviously going to be the magnets, just a great feature. And last but not least, a great positive is the finger loop removal. It's just so easy. You don't have to pull each one to get it off. You just grab those 2 loops, boom, game over, and they're quickly off your hands. All right, so let's talk cons. I hate talking cons about something that a company sends you to test out and you really want to say a ton of positive things about, but I want to be honest with you guys and tell you kind of my true thoughts and feelings about this. The first one is the website at RUNCL. I know it doesn't have to do with these gloves, but as I was going through and just kind of looking at information and details for these gloves so I could share it with you guys, I was reading through the website, and some of it is a little hard to understand, just a little bit of grammar issues, and maybe there was some sort of conversion of language. Maybe it was written in one language originally and then Google translated, and so it's kind of a little choppy English. But if you're okay with that, then hey, it's not a con to you. Also, this is the only color that they come in. Now, I think this pattern is really, really freaking sweet, but this is the only color that's available, and so maybe they'll look into getting some more colors later on, but again, this is a newer product for them, and they're just kind of throwing out and testing it. Last thing is the thumb. The seams and the stitching of the thumb have ripped open, and that's kind of a big one. And so it appears that you can actually even see right here, I'll try to get some close-ups of it. You can see that the stitching has just kind of come off from the inside here. That's kind of the biggest con that I have about these gloves. So, final thoughts. Should you go out and buy these gloves? If you're looking for a cold weather fishing glove that has the ability to be a convertible mitten, to have your fingertips exposed and something that's going to repel water and not be fleece, this is your glove. It's $37, and if you use my promo code, you'll save a few more dollars as well. And that's really, really inexpensive compared to some of the other stuff that's out there. So I would highly, 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 highly suggest you going and picking you up some of these JayClaws from RUNCL. I would say I'd give it a 4.5 gloves out of 5. So if you want to get you a pair of these RUNCL JayClaws, then make sure you go down to the links in the description below and use that promo code. And man, I really wish that I had some of these when I was making this video right here. And until next time, keep those lines tight.